If it pays to remember anniversaries, birthdays, and other important dates. Does your husband forget your anniversaries? Never. I never remind him of it in June and again in January, and I always get 2 presents. If a man's memory is so poor that he can be led to believe that he has an anniversary every 6 months, then he deserves to have to buy 2 presents. Seriously, though. The peg system can be applied to remembering not only important anniversaries, but also important dates in history. It is so helpful to memorize addresses, prices, or style numbers. As far as dates are concerned, if you want to remember people's anniversaries or birthdays, just associate the person or just associate the people or substitute words for their names to the date. In this way, suppose Mr. Gordon's birthday is April 3rd. If you associate Mr. Gordon with the word garden to Ram, you remember Ram represents 43, and Mr. Gordon's birthday falls in the 4th on the 3rd day. Of course, every date will not be able to be transposed into a basic peg word. You can do that only with those that fall within the first 9 months, and for the first 9 days of the months, all other dates will be three-digit numbers. So a different idea must be used. I could tell you to make up a word which would represent the three-digit number, and I will tell you to do that in most cases. But if done all of the time, it may confuse you. If the word in your association was Titan 112, how would you know whether it meant the first month's 12th day, or the nth month, second day? You wouldn't, and your birthday card would be a bit late. If you sent it on November 2nd to someone whose birthday is January 12th, it wouldn't be late, or it would be late, or about 2 months early. So you must have a definite distinction to avoid this. I would suggest that the easiest way to do it is to use one word for the 3 digits. Only for the first 9 months, for October, November, and December, use 2 words. Your peg word to represent the month, and another word to represent the day. If you feel like you wouldn't know which word came first, then always use a word that is not a basic peg word for your day. That way you'll know that the regular peg always represents the month. Actually, this isn't necessary if you're going to use one word to represent the month and day. For the first 9 months, if you do, you will know that whenever you have 2 words in your association, the one that denotes 2 digits must represent the month, and the other the day. If you have 2 words in your association, both of which denote 2 digits, then naturally the 1/12 would have to stand for the day. Only in a few cases where the day is either 10, 11, or 12. In the 10th, 11th, or 12th month, you have to use the idea suggested in the chapter on telephone numbers. You would have to use a illogical picture to know which word comes first, or always use the basic peg word for the month and make up a word that fits phonetically, but is not a regular peg word for the day. If, as in schoolwork, it is necessary for you to remember the year as well as the month and day, simply get a word to represent the year into your association. For instance, although everybody knows the date of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, I can use that as an example. If you associated the Declaration or a substitute word to car cash, you would know that it was signed on July 4th, 74 car in the year 1776. Cash. It is almost never necessary to bother with the first 2 digits of a year, because you would usually know the century in which an event occurred. If not, get a word for those digits into your picture too. School students usually have to remember only the year of a historical event. This is a hint because all you need to represent the year Napoleon was crowned emperor in the year 1804. If you made a ridiculous picture of Napoleon being crowned, and the crown hurting his head or making it sore, you would remember it. The Chicago fire in 1871, just associate fire to cause 71. If you made a ridiculous picture of a giant ocean liner sinking because it is made of tin, you would remember that the Titanic went down in 1912. Sometimes it's necessary to remember the year of birth and the year of death of important people. Just as an example, if you made an association of a Steve Dorr dressed as a lass fighting a bear, you would recall that Robert Louis Stevenson, Steve Dorr, was born in 1850, lass, and died 1894, bear. Now you won't be like the little boy who, when asked how he was doing in school, complained that the teacher expected him to know about things that happened before he was born. Talking about schoolwork and geography is often important to know. The product that a country exports. So why not use the link method to remember them also? If you wanted to remember the general outline of the map of any country or state, you can always use the idea that is usually used to remember the shape of Italy. Italy is shaped like a boot, which makes it easy to recall. If you look at the map outline of any country, with a little imagination, you can make it look like something that can be pictured. Just associate that to the name of the country, and you'll always have a general idea of its shape. Now, if you fellows want to be able to throw away those little black books full of addresses, you can just remember the address of the young lady by using associations. The same method of apply to this. Simply transpose all the numbers into sounds, the sounds into words, and associate the words to the person living at that address. If you made a picture in your mind of yourself flying a rope and landing it on a carpet land rope, it would help in remembering that Mr. Carpool lives at 5211 Landed 49th Street Rope. The same ideas, of course, apply to style numbers and prices. If you happen to work in the clothing line and wish to remember the style numbers of, say, dresses, associate number to an outstanding feature of the dress. If style 351 is a dress with a back plain, you might see the plain melt 351. The dress with puff sleeves with puff sleeves is style 3140. Associate mattress, puff sleeves, etc. The price of the dresses can be included in the same association. I'm giving you only one or two examples for each idea because it's always best for you to use your own imagination. It is entirely up to you as to which method you will use for remembering dates and how you will associate style numbers and prices, etc. The ideas, however, can be applied in any business. Prices can be memorized just as anything else that has to do with numbers. Just associate the price to the item to avoid confusion. You might decide to always use the basic peg word for $1 and any other word that fits phonetically for cents. The same methods have to be used here as for telephone numbers and dates. You can use the word to request 3 or 4 digits because you'll usually know if an item is priced in hundreds of dollars or not. If you had associated maple with a book, you would know that the price of the book is probably $3.95 and not $395. On the other hand, if you had associated maple to a television set, it would be $395 and not $395. Or I would buy a couple dozen. Well, there you are. After this, you should never forget dates, prices, style numbers, addresses, and so on. I must repeat that it might seem easier at first to write down this type of information, but after a while, you will be able to associate faster. Then you can write most important. Don't worry about cluttering your mind with all these associations. Again, I want to remind you that once you have memorized the information through association, and you use this particular information well, you've etched it into your mind. The associations have served their purpose, and you can forget about them.